We told our audiences a little while earlier that the Supreme Court would be looking into whether or not this could be declared a national disaster. I believe that the matter was mentioned out of turn, and now the court has asked the advocate to mention the matter tomorrow. Let's go very quickly over to my colleague Ananya to understand what this means. Ananya, could you break this down for us, please?
Whole prayer about क्या आपने मांग की है इस पूरी petition में, ये बताएं पहले आप।
My whole prayer is that it is national disaster and it should be declared as disaster. And what is the consequence of declaration of disaster is that central government and National Disaster Authority, these authorities should take action. They should provide fund, and out of that fund people should be rehabilitated and relief should be given. Their houses where are cracks, they should be repaired, and if they are not repairable, then they should be reconstructed. Otherwise they should be relocated for the safeguarding their lives, and for entire their destruction of property, compensation should be given to them, insurance coverage should be given. All these things are there.
Sir, any kind of a financial compensation insurance that has been sought?
Yes, certainly. There are two types of compensation. One, if national disaster is declared, then central government and state government will compensate from their disaster fund. And also NTPC had given assurance to them that if anything is caused due to their project, then they will give insurance coverage and they will compensate. And both prayer has been done. If it is disaster, then central government, state government should compensate, and also NTPC should also be directed to compensate and give Bima insurance coverage.
So, Toya, you were seeing, we are speaking to senior advocate P.N. Mishra, who had mentioned this matter before the topmost court of the country. CGI said that the matter should be mentioned again tomorrow in the mentioning list via a proper procedure of mentioning. And the petition seeks basically that this whole Joshimath tragedy should be declared as a national disaster, because it would change the whole dynamics of dealing with this particular situation. What would happen when it is made, in fact, a national disaster is, number one, that the NDRF would kick in. The NDRF would be kicking in for the relief work. Apart from that, the state government and the central government can bring in financial compensations for the victims, at least who are staying in that particular area and who have to be rehabilitated from that particular area because of the disaster that is taking place in the Joshimath area of the Uttarakhand. And as we were pointing it out earlier to you as well, this is not just a normal town in the state of Uttarakhand. It holds a religious importance as well, because of the Joshimath, because the Adi Shankaracharya had actually visited here. He had set up a mutt here, and the whole flow of knowledge had happened from here by Adi Shankaracharya. And in fact, it is the petition that's been filed by Jagadguru Shankaracharya before the topmost court of the country. We will see tomorrow as to how would the Supreme Court react to it, and whether in fact urgent hearing would be allowed into this particular matter, and what would the Supreme Court has to say with regards to this whole tragedy that's taking place. Now, as Mr. Mishra was pointing us out, financial compensations have also been sought by way of insurances and assurances by the NTPC also, because they remember that the hydro project that is going on by the NTPC there is said to be one of the major reasons of these cracks and landslides that are happening in the Joshimath area. And the NTPC has also assured that financial compensations would be given in case of any kind of rehabilitation or damage to the environment is there. So a very, very key aspect that has to be seen here is that whether the actions of mankind, whether the actions of the people are affecting the nature there, and that's the reason why this whole tragedy has erupted in the state of Uttarakhand, Uttarakhand's Joshimath city. So somewhere or the other, it is before the Supreme Court. The hope is before the Supreme Court. Meanwhile, subsequently, another petition was mentioned before the Delhi High Court. However, the High Court said that first inquire about what is happening in the Supreme Court with regards to this, and then only will the Delhi High Court actually look into this particular aspect. But certainly all eyes are on the Supreme Court for tomorrow, whether or not the matter is heard urgently by in fact the Supreme Court or not. The matter was mentioned today. However, since it was unlisted mentioning, the Chief Justice of India said that the mentioning should be made after bringing it properly.
Ananya, can I just ask you to stay with us please for a second? I want to very quickly walk our audiences through an explanation here. My colleague Ananya was just mentioning the NTPC and a tunnel. Let's talk a little bit about this tunnel and the issues that villagers have had with it. All right, this entire story starts on Jan 2nd to Jan 3rd, the intervening days when residents say that their houses first saw cracks and crevices appearing in their houses. Now, after this took place, after the cracks started appearing, and as you can see over here, there was water seepage that was coming from some of the cracks. This is what took place. Number one, the reason that's been given is that there's unplanned construction taking place in homes, in hotels and resorts. That's reason number one. Now, reason number two, this is the big one that we were talking about, hydroelectric projects around Joshimath. I just want to tell you here, residents have been protesting these projects for months now. They've said that the projects, and in particular the usage of boring machines in those projects, have led to issues in the land in the area. Now, reason number three, the use of heavy machinery and in the high-lying bypass construction, the use of heavy machinery in particular. So remember, when it comes to Joshimath itself, Joshimath is built on an area that has very, very loose, soft soil. The presence of construction has only exacerbated the problem in the area. As you can see, this is one more man-made development, the expansion of the Rishikesh-Badrinath highway that has made slopes unsteady. The other thing, though, is that the area is in a seismically very sensitive zone. What that means is that it continues to experience the effect of tremors that are taking place in the entire area. But because those tremors are of a very, very low marking on the Richter scale, they have not been monitored closely so far by the government. Now, the other issues is, as you can see, toe erosion, slope instability, as we told you, due to the 2013 and 2021 floods. So as you can see, a combination historically of geographic issues that have taken place in the area with layers of man-made construction taking place on top. Now, my colleague